You've been searching for it, haven't you? That one entry signal that never lies. The holy grail, the secret pattern, the ultimate trigger that once you find it, will finally make everything make sense. Every trader dreams of it. Every course promises it. Every flashy YouTube ad whispers it like a forbidden fruit. And yet here you are, still searching, still asking, still wondering if maybe, just maybe, it exists. Let me shatter the illusion right from the start. The perfect entry signal? The one that never lies? It exists. But it's not what you think. It's not a candlestick pattern. It's not a moving average crossover. It's not an RSI divergence or a Fibonacci retracement. Those are signals of price, but not of truth. The only entry signal that never lies is far deeper than a chart. It's a signal that comes before the market even moves. And the painful reason you've missed it so far is because you've been looking outward when the truth has always been inward. Now, before you brush this off as some soft motivational trick, stay with me. I'm not here to sell you empty inspiration. I'm here to drag you into the raw, uncomfortable truth that most traders avoid. Because while you've been obsessed with finding the perfect chart setup, the real entry signal, the only one that never lies, has been hiding in plain sight. Let me ask you this. How many times have you seen your perfect setup form, taken the trade exactly as the rules said, and still lost? How many times have you followed your strategy, your discipline, your checklist, only for the market to laugh in your face? And how many times have you seen someone else trade recklessly, even foolishly, and still walk away with profit? That's when you start questioning reality. That's when you start wondering if the market is rigged, if someone is pulling strings behind the curtain. That's when you start whispering to yourself, what am I missing? The truth is, you've been playing a rigged game, but not in the way you think. The rigging isn't in the charts, it's in your mind. And the only entry signal that never lies is not a candle, not a trend line, not a chart. It's the signal of structure, the structure you build inside yourself. You see, the market is chaos. It breathes, it shifts, it bends, it breaks. It does not owe you anything. So any signal you see on the screen is always vulnerable. It can form perfectly, only to reverse seconds later. It can align with every indicator, only to be smashed by unexpected news. Every chart signal is conditional. Every technical pattern is fragile. But the one entry signal that never lies is this, the alignment between your behavior and your structure. When that signal fires, when you're trading not from impulse but from design, not from reaction but from recurrence, you've already won, whether the trade profits or not. Because consistency does not live in charts. It lives in structure. Now let me take you deeper. Imagine you walk into the market tomorrow. You've built your model. You know the exact conditions where probability leans in your favor. You've rehearsed the process so many times that your nervous system no longer panics when price moves against you. You're calm, steady, intentional. In that moment, do you realize you already hold the only signal that never lies? Because that signal is you, your structure, your intentionality, your alignment. That is the signal no candle can fake, no news event can distort, no broker can manipulate. But here's the catch. Most traders will never reach that point. They'll keep chasing external signals, thinking the next guru, the next strategy, the next pattern will finally unlock the code. They'll keep buying courses that promise the perfect entry, only to end up in the same cycle of hope and despair. Why? Because they never learn to recognize the only entry signal that matters, the signal that comes from within structure, not from without. Let's make this real. Think back to the last time you broke your own rules. Maybe you moved your stop loss. Maybe you jumped into a trade too early. Maybe you over-leveraged because you felt sure about the setup. And deep down, before you even clicked the button, didn't you feel it? That tiny whisper in your gut that said, this isn't structure, this is impulse. That was the signal. And it never lies. It tells you the truth every single time. The problem isn't that the signal doesn't exist. The problem is that you keep ignoring it. And here's where I need to press into you. Until you learn to obey the only entry signal that never lies, you will remain a victim of the market. You will keep cycling between wins and losses, between hope and despair, between this strategy is the one and why can't I stay consistent? The market doesn't care about your hope. It doesn't care about your discipline. It doesn't even care about your intelligence. The market only respects structure. And the only way to survive long-term is to let your structure dictate your entries, not your feelings, not your impulses, not even your so-called discipline. Now, let me make this painfully practical. If you think the only entry signal that never lies is some kind of secret technical tool, you've already lost, because the market will always find ways to expose you. But if you understand that the true signal is the alignment of your behavior to your model, then suddenly everything changes. Suddenly you stop asking, is this the right setup? And you start asking, am I in alignment with my structure? Suddenly you stop chasing signals outside yourself and start cultivating the signal within yourself. That shift is the birth of a rebel. That shift is when you stop being a gambler and start being a designer. And let's be honest, you've already felt this signal before. Think about the times you traded exactly as your structure demanded. No hesitation, no fear, no greed, just clarity. Whether the trade won or lost, you felt something rare, peace. You felt grounded. You didn't spiral into self-blame or revenge trading. You simply executed, reviewed, and moved on. That right there is the proof. That's the signal. And it never lies. But you ignore it because it doesn't look glamorous. It doesn't give you the adrenaline rush of catching the perfect candle. It doesn't feed your ego with the thrill of being right. It's subtle, quiet, almost boring. But that's why it works, because consistency is boring. Structure is boring, but boredom is where freedom lives. Let me say it straight. The only entry signal that never lies is not in the market. It's in you. It's the signal of structure over impulse, of design over reaction, of intentionality over chaos. Everything else is noise. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know this. You've been burned enough times to recognize that chasing patterns alone won't save you. You've seen enough fake breakouts, enough manipulated spikes, enough false confirmations to know that the market loves to lie. But the signal within, the one that whispers before you click the button, the one that tells you if you're trading from structure or from fear, that one never lies. The only question is whether you'll listen. So let me ask you now, what would change in your trading if you decided from this moment forward that you would only enter when that signal fired? What if you stopped forcing trades? What if you stopped trying to outguess the market? What if you stopped bowing to discipline and instead surrendered to design? What would happen if you finally let the structure, not your feelings, make the call? That's not just theory, that's reality. That's the shift every rebel must make. Because until you do, you'll keep spinning your wheels, chasing ghosts, and blaming discipline for failing you. But once you do, you'll never look at trading the same way again. You know, it's almost ironic. Traders spend years hunting for signals on the chart. Double tops, head and shoulders, breakouts, fakeouts, indicators stacked on indicators. And every time the signal whispers, this is it. And every time the market reminds you, no, this is not it. How many times has a perfect setup formed, tick for tick, textbook in every way, only to collapse the moment you enter? That's when frustration boils over and you throw your hands up at the screen. You whisper under your breath, why does it always happen to me? But let's flip the script. What if the chart never lied? What if it was you who kept lying to yourself? You convince yourself you see a breakout when really it's just noise. You convince yourself the market is ready when in truth, you're just impatient. The chart never lied. The lie was in your interpretation. And that's exactly why the only entry signal that never lies cannot be found outside. Because your mind will twist anything external to justify your impulses. The one signal that can't be twisted, the one that stands as pure and honest every single time, is the internal alignment of structure. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine two traders side by side, both looking at the exact same chart. The first trader sees opportunity. The second sees danger. Who's right? Neither. Because the truth isn't in the chart, it's in the structure each one carries. One trades from design, the other from impulse. One executes, the other hesitates. One has a system, the other has hope. And hope, as you already know, is not a strategy. This is why you must stop obsessing over what the market is saying and start asking what your structure is signaling. Because here's the thing. The market doesn't speak your language. It doesn't care about your patterns or your rules. The market only reveals who you are. It mirrors your structure back at you. And if all you bring is broken discipline and scattered impulses, the mirror will expose it every single time. Now let's lean even deeper into this. You've heard the phrase, the trend is your friend. Sounds good, doesn't it? But how many times has the trend betrayed you? You jump in thinking you're flowing with the river, only to find the river turn just as you entered. So what do? You add more indicators. You wait longer. You hesitate more. You think, if I can just perfect my timing, I'll finally catch it. But the truth is, timing is a myth. The trend can't be your friend because the trend doesn't know you exist. The only friend you have in the market is your structure, and that signal never betrays you. Let's get real with the numbers. Most traders fail, not because they don't have access to setups, but because they don't filter those setups through a structure. Out of 100 trades, how many do you think you actually should have taken? 5? 10? The rest weren't signals at all. They were noise dressed up as opportunity. And noise is seductive. Noise will make you believe you're about to strike gold, when in reality, you're just feeding the market your capital. The only filter sharp enough to cut through that noise is the signal of structure. And don't misunderstand me here. I'm not saying you should ignore technicals, or abandon analysis, or trade blindly. No, your technical framework matters, but what matters more is how it lives inside your structure. You can give 2 traders the exact same technical rules, and one will still lose while the other thrives. Why? Because one executes from alignment, the other from chaos. That's why, when you strip everything else away, the real entry signal is not the chart, it's the trader. Think of it like music. 2 pianists sit at the same piano, playing the same notes from the same sheet. One produces music that moves the soul. The other produces noise that makes you wince. The difference isn't the notes, it's the structure behind the player. Trading is the same. The chart is the sheet music. But the sound that comes out depends on the structure of the trader. And until your structure is in alignment, every note you play will sound off-key. Now let's talk about lies, because this is where the pain hits. Every trader has lied to themselves at some point. This trade looks good. It's okay if I risk a little more, just this time. I know my system says wait, but this setup looks too good to pass up. And every time, the lie feels small, harmless, maybe even justified. But then the loss comes, and you act surprised, as if the market deceived you. No, the lie was yours. The signal of impulse fired, and you ignored the signal of structure. The only entry signal that never lies had already warned you. You just didn't want to hear it. And that's what makes this so dangerous. Because the lies aren't shouted, they're whispered. They creep in quietly, convincing you you're still on track. They wrap themselves in the language of discipline. You're following the rules, they say. But deep down, you know better. You know when you're aligned and when you're drifting. That's why you can't blame the market. You can't blame the strategy. You can't even blame discipline. The signal is always there. The question is whether you honor it. So how do you start honoring it? First, you must slow down. Most traders lose not because they lack knowledge, but because they refuse to slow their pace. They trade like gamblers pulling a lever, hoping the slot machine lines up. But rebels move slower. They wait, not because they're timid, but because they know the only entry signal worth obeying doesn't show up in every candle. It's rare, it's deliberate, it's intentional. And when it fires, there is no rush, no doubt, no panic. There is only clarity. Second, you must train your nervous system. This is the part nobody talks about. They'll tell you to memorize strategies, to backtest, to journal. But what good is any of that if your hands still shake the moment you enter? If your pulse still races when price ticks against you? Your nervous system must learn to trust your structure. And the only way it learns is through repetition. You can't think your way into calmness. You must train it. And every time you obey the only signal that never lies, your nervous system learns to trust. Third, you must surrender the illusion of control. That's the hardest one, because traders love to believe they're in control. Control of their entries, their exits, their outcomes. But control is an illusion. You can't control the market. You can't control news. You can't control liquidity. What you can control is whether or not you are in alignment with your structure. That's the only signal you own. And the moment you surrender everything else, you free yourself from the tyranny of chasing perfect setups. Now pause here and think. Imagine what it would feel like to finally stop chasing the perfect candle. Imagine what it would feel like to stop second-guessing every move. Imagine what it would feel like to enter only when the signal of structure fires, knowing deep down this is right. You may still lose trades, yes, but you will never lose yourself. And that is the difference between traders who survive and traders who disappear. Let me remind you of something. Consistency is not found in outcomes. Consistency is found in process. And the only entry signal that never lies is the one that locks you into process. That's why rebels don't measure success by the last trade. They measure it by alignment. Was I in structure? Did I honor the signal? If yes, I succeeded. If no, I failed, regardless of P&L. That mindset is what transforms chaos into order, randomness into recurrence, despair into freedom. And once you taste that freedom, you will never go back. Because you will see what few traders ever see, that the market is not your enemy. The market is just a mirror, and the only signal that never lies is the reflection of the structure you built. You see, traders often chase entry signals as if they were hunting for buried treasure. Every webinar, every course, every trading room, what's the common obsession? What's the entry? What's the exact point I click buy or sell? It's like they believe there's a secret doorway hidden in the charts, and if they just find it, they'll finally unlock the wealth they dream about. But let's be brutally honest. If there really was a single pattern, a single magic candle, a single holy grail indicator that worked every time, don't you think the market would have swallowed it long ago? Don't you think every bank, every fund, every algo would have exploited it until there was nothing left for you? And yet, people still cling to the fantasy. They memorize patterns like school children reciting multiplication tables. They plaster their charts with lines until it looks like a spider spun its web on their screen. They chase complexity as if the answer must be hiding in layers. But all the while, the truth sits quietly in plain sight. The only entry signal that never lies is the one rooted in structure, not the one borrowed from a chart. And here's where the mirror hurts. Because when you strip away the noise, the reason most traders fail isn't lack of knowledge. It's lack of integrity with themselves. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you wouldn't chase? And then you chased anyway. How many times have you promised to wait for confirmation, only to jump the moment the candle teased you? How many times have you said, this is the last impulsive trade, only to repeat it the very next day? The lie isn't in the chart. The lie is in the trader's refusal to honor their own structure. And this is exactly why most will keep bleeding accounts. Because they're looking for a signal that will save them from themselves. But no chart pattern can do that. No indicator can carry that weight. Only alignment can. The only entry signal that never lies is the one that says, I am in design. I am in process. I am in truth. And once you anchor yourself to that, the market stops being a casino and starts becoming a mirror of your consistency. Now let me get personal here. I've seen traders with flawless technical knowledge lose everything. They knew the setups, they knew the rules, they even had good discipline, on paper. But in the heat of the moment, when the market whispered temptation, they bent. They shifted, they compromised. And every compromise costs them more than money. It costs them trust in themselves. Because once you start breaking your own structure, you don't just lose trades, you lose confidence. And when confidence erodes, trading becomes torment. But rebels take a different path. We don't rely on fragile rules. We don't worship patterns. We don't beg the market to be kind. We build structures so strong that even when emotions scream, the process holds. And inside that process, the only signal that matters becomes clear. It is not the candle. It is not the breakout. It is not the trend. It is the alignment of design with action. That is the signal that never lies. And here's the beauty. You don't need to be perfect to live this. You don't need to catch every move. You don't need to win every trade. All you need is to honor alignment. And the moment you do, something shifts. You stop fearing losses because losses no longer define you. You stop chasing wins because wins no longer intoxicate you. You step into a place of calm, clarity, and authorship. And from that place, every entry you take becomes a reflection of who you are, not a gamble on what the market might do. So let me charge you with this. Stop searching for the perfect entry on the chart. Stop wasting your life hunting for magic signals that don't exist. Instead, start building the signal that can't be broken. The one inside. The one anchored in structure, in design, in process. Because once you master that, you hold in your hands the only entry signal that never lies. And that is what it means to be a rebel. To reject the noise, to walk away from the false promises, and to build something inside yourself that the market can never take. Now, if this truth hit you, if you felt the weight of it, I want you to lean in and join the movement. Hit subscribe, because this is only the beginning. Share this video with another trader who needs to hear it, because I promise you, someone out there is drowning in noise right now, and this could be their lifeline. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the Rebel community isn't just an audience. It's a brotherhood and a sisterhood of traders who refuse to settle for chaos. And remember this, the world may see you as just another retail trader. The brokers may see you as just another statistic. But here, in this community, we see you as a rebel. Someone who dares to rise above the noise, who dares to honor structure, who dares to live by the only entry signal that never lies. So subscribe, share, and stand with us. The chart may whisper lies. The market may shake your faith, but the signal of structure, the signal of alignment, that signal will never betray you. Stay intentional, stay aligned, and as always, stay rebel.